Yo, Kpaceguy here. What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm bringing you the Monoprice SSW-12 oh my god, I can't talk. I'm bringing you the Monoprice SSW-12 low profile subwoofer. Now, if you guys didn't see, I made a poll last week and I said, guys, there's a Monoprice subwoofer and there's an Earthquake subwoofer that are similarly priced. Which one would you guys be more interested in me reviewing? And by one vote, you guys chose the Monoprice. And I was kind of leaning towards that myself. So we're gonna open this box. I kind of already took it open just to make it a little bit faster for you guys. Let's open the box and see what's inside. Oh, cool. So the first presentation is, of course, it's kind of user guide, manual, setup, all that stuff that we know and love from our companies. Now, the really cool thing about this subwoofer is that it's able to be mounted up on a wall. This is a low profile subwoofer, so it's made to slide under a couch, under a sofa, under a chair, or you can mount it and hide it away against a wall. So they give you a template so that you can try to map out where you want to mount your subwoofer to, and then there's mounting brackets in the box that we'll see soon. So all that's left now is the subwoofer itself and the brackets that it comes with. So let me fish these brackets out here. So these brackets have little feet on the back here that's going to allow you to press them against the wall, and then the other side is going to hold the subwoofer in place. I'm not planning on mounting my sub to the wall, so we're not going to use these brackets. But let's go ahead and get the subwoofer, which is surprisingly heavy. There we go. So while I'm opening this, I'll go ahead and give you a few specs. So this is a 12-inch subwoofer, and it's a down-firing subwoofer depending on how you have it oriented. So if you have it face down like this, it's a down-firing subwoofer, and it does have a port on one of the sides. And it has, it comes with some RCA cables that you're able to connect them to whatever source you're going to be using. In my case, this is going to end up being on my desk. This is why I bought this subwoofer. I needed a subwoofer for my 2-channel setup on my desk. So I decided to get this. Now, it's a 150-watt amplifier. The difference between this one and the Earthquake had a 300-watt amplifier, but it had an 8-inch driver and didn't play as low. This one is half the power at 150 watts, but it has a 12-inch driver and plays a little bit deeper, and that's really what I cared about. I didn't care too much about the power because I won't be listening to this very loud at all as a desk setup. But wow, this looks really cool. Let me turn this around for you guys so you guys can take a look. So on one of the sides you have the port here, and it's not divided all the way down the middle. It's just a little bar, a little bracket there, but it's a really deep port going all the way through the tunnel of the box there. As for the top and the other 3 sides, it's completely blank. There's nothing there, there's no logos, there's no emblems, it's just plain hard MDF wood. Underneath the subwoofer is where all the connections are going to be made. So to the right of the subwoofer, you see that big plate amp there with the big old heat sink on the back. Above that heat sink is the high level in. So you have the ability to plug in maybe some bookshelf speakers or a powered speaker to the subwoofer and have a 2-channel setup. Now to the right of that are some RCA inputs and outputs. This is where you'll make the connection for the subwoofer, and then you can use the line out to daisy chain another subwoofer if you'd like to. Now you have your level, which is going to be your volume knob, and then to the right of that is your crossover from 50 Hertz to 150 Hertz. And then you have your power LED indicator. Now this has an auto on kind of feature. So you're able to keep it off when you don't want it on, or you can leave it on standby and it'll detect a signal and then it will perform. After a certain amount of time, it'll turn off. Now those big black bars, that's the connections for you to mount this on the wall. In this case, I'm not going to need that. So you can actually take these brackets off. Just pull down on the brackets here and they come right out. So that's what we want. We want them to come out because we're going to leave this underneath my desk or wherever I think may fit. Most people would put this under the couch and have it under there. Now you see the big 12-inch driver there on the left side, and that's what's going to give me my 150 watts of ooey goodness. And this is kind of why I lean towards the Monoprice over the Earthquake. Was I like the 12-inch driver, its ability to get lower and move more air being a bigger subwoofer. Now the Earthquake has double the power, but it also has a lot less airspace. So I chose the Monoprice for the frequency response that it will give me. It's rated down to 20 hertz, and so I was kind of leaning more towards that. I like a subwoofer that can dig as close to 20 hertz as possible, and this one is supposed to be able to do that for me. So just for reference, here's kind of how it looks size-wise. So it's really wide, not really all that deep, and not that tall. So my couch is more of an apartment style couch, but most couches are actually a little bit higher than this. So you could probably fit this under most couches. Now it is on feet, and I recommend keeping them on the feet because that amplifier, you don't want the amplifier resting on the ground for multiple reasons. One, you don't want to bend and break your wires that you have connected to it. Two, you don't want that heat seat getting too hot against the carpet underneath the couch because that could potentially cause some sort of small hazard. And then three, you want the sub to be able to breathe. Again, you don't want things to get too hot underneath your couch where a lot of dust is going to collect. So I recommend leaving the feet on just to keep everything underneath there protected. Alright, so before I was setting it up, I wanted to try to read and see what kind of placement options I had with this. And listen to what Monoprice says about subwoofer placement. They say in most rooms, the optimum location for your subwoofer is in the closest solid front corner or somewhere along the front wall in line with your front speakers. This location typically offers optimal energy coupling with the room, front speakers, and the deepest low frequency extension with the best high impact bass. Try to avoid a location that is far away from walls or near the center of your room. Bass output is maximized when the subwoofer is tucked in the corner. An ideal corner is far from wall divisions and has at least 6 feet or more of wall to either side. Try to keep the subwoofer placement away from any large openings into other rooms. When corner loading a subwoofer, you might want to experiment with how close the subwoofer sits to the closest wall, with a general rule of thumb that it should be within 1 foot. Placing the subwoofer in close proximity to the seating position, for example, right next to or behind the sofa, maximizes the output and can reduce room effects on the subwoofer. A great technique to determine the best placement for your subwoofer is known as the subwoofer crawl. The first step is to place the subwoofer at your listening position. Ensure that audio with constant bass content or a test tone is playing. Next, crawl around the room. After all, subwoofer will be more 5 feet in the air. And listen for where the bass sounds most full and has definition, punch, and depth. This will generally be the best location in your room. Finally, place the subwoofer in that location and finish the rest of the setup and configuration. So guys, if you haven't watched my video, I did a video called How to Achieve Perfect Subwoofer Placement, and we did the subwoofer crawl here on the channel. So if you're interested in seeing how to get your subwoofer pretty close to dialed in, I'll put that video down below in the description. So making my connections is going to be pretty simple. I only have one subwoofer output on the back of my speaker, so I'm going to plug it into the white one, the left input on the line in. And as far as setting my level, I'm going to start it off in the middle at the 12 o'clock position, and I'm going to do the same thing for the crossover. So it's 50 from 150, and so we're just going to put that kind of right there in the middle around that 80 hertz frequency, and I'll play with this as time goes, but we'll just start there. Alright guys, so I put the sub underneath the desk, kind of in between both speakers, and I think I like it right here where it's at because it allows me to still have foot room underneath. I can still push my chair all the way underneath the desk, and it was probably the best placement that I could put for it. Now, for speaker reference, I'm using the Fluence AI60s. I absolutely love these powered bookshelf speakers. They are awesome. So we're gonna play just a really quick little demo and then I'll tell you guys what I think. Alright guys, so that's the sound demo of the Monoprice SSW-12. And to be honest with you guys, I'm kind of underwhelmed, but I'll get to that in just a second. So when I was listening to this, I actually had some issues with phase. Phase meaning it wasn't pairing well with my speakers. And there's no phase switch on this subwoofer. So what I actually had to do was open up the sub and reverse the wires because my polarity was off. But once I did that, I actually got a lot of bass back. So with that being said, during that sound demo, I was kind of underwhelmed. There's presence there, there's bass, but it drops off very quickly. On the website and on the spec sheet, it says it gets down to 20 hertz, but right after 55 or 45, it's kind of just gone. The Fluence AI60s actually play deeper than the subwoofer itself does. So I'm kind of disappointed on that. The reason why I chose this one over the Earthquake was because it said that it played lower. But so far, that's not true. So I'm kind of unhappy with the performance level out of the subwoofer. Now, it doesn't get very loud either, and that's okay. I didn't want it to be very loud at all because right here in this area is where I'll be listening to the system. So I didn't want it to be very loud to begin with. But the low bass presence just wasn't there. It didn't really sound like a subwoofer. It just sounded more like a big mid-range speaker. So with that being said, maybe I'll go back and try the Earthquake in a later video in the future. But other than that, I would give it 3 stars out of 5. It does help the sound. It does have a really clear sound actually. The sound that does come from it is pretty good. It does sound pretty tight, sounds pretty crisp, pretty clean. And so I am impressed with that in that regard. But I'm disappointed that it doesn't dig down very low because that's what I bought it for, was to fill in that bottom end. So if you're going to use this subwoofer as its purpose, which is underneath the couch, I think you may look elsewhere. I don't think it gives you enough presence to really do anything. And then the fact that it doesn't have a phase switch is also an issue too, because it did not sound good with my speakers. Although it's meant to be away from your speakers, underneath your couch, across from your speakers, so maybe that could change things. But as far as them being in between my 2 speakers, it just didn't pair well. So keep that in mind if you're looking at this subwoofer. Other than that, guys, it's good thing. It's really good thing. So if you enjoyed this video, guys, leave me a comment down below and let me know what subwoofers you're using in your home theater right now. Is it an under-the-seat subwoofer? Is it a traditional ported box, sealed box? What are you using right now in your home theater? Let us know that down below in the comment section. Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you are not already. We will see you in the next video. Kpaceguy out. Peace.